Hey, what's up, folks? It's Saturday, and this is Derek Stewart and my co-host Isaiah, and we wanted to do a quick follow-up on last night with Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. So, leading up to the fight, there was a lot of fanfare on, you know, some predictions that was made. There was, saying Mike Tyson was going to actually kind of rekindle some of his past skill set to be able to win this fight against a much younger man. So my whole biggest thing is I had some doubts about it. So we'll get this thing started. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Hit that like button. We really need your support, and we're really looking forward to some really good topics upcoming. And me and my co-host Isaiah, which is sitting here, and he's going to go over some things, some takeaways, because he did watch the fight last night. I did not watch the fight. I saw some highlights of the fight. So what's really going on, Isaiah? How's your Saturday morning going so far?
It's going great. I had a nice hot breakfast this morning, and I just got up thinking about that fight and thought about it just not don't need to happen again because of how embarrassing it was. I was, found it very difficult to swallow the fact that here's a 58-year-old man that proved to be 58 last night. His body was chiseled, but his face and his just the look on his face, knowing that he had absolutely no business being in that ring last night with a 27-year-old man who was polished and quick and in shape and moved around like a 27-year-old, and Mike moved around like he was 58. And it was embarrassing to see a man who was just as quick as lightning and was strong as a bull, totally diminished. His skill level was not there at all, man. And I just did not want to see him get hurt last night because I admired him as a fighter when he was youthful, and I just did not want to see him get knocked out or get hurt at all.
So did Mike win any rounds in your opinion?
Yeah, he did. He won 2 rounds, but thereafter that, he just was tired and he just couldn't respond to certain blows. And usually Mike would counter you when you thought you gave him your best, he would counter your punch and probably take you out with one of his. And it could be one blow coming from him, and he'll get you out of there. But last night he was on the defense. He had to be keeping the guy from knocking him out. Mike wasn't never at that point in his career where he was running from somebody. But right now he's at an age where he should just be a spectator, not somebody who's performing any of these endeavors as being a boxer.
Okay, so here's the deal. According to Bleacher Report, and I got this information directly from the net, Paul landed 78 of 278 punches and connected on 31 of 179 jabs. Tyson landed 18 of 97 total punches and only 62 jabs. So that speaks volumes of what you just said. It's just only indicative that Tyson had no business in that ring,
No.
period.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
had no business in that ring, period, other than the motivation to get the money. If he wanted the
And
money, he got the money last night.
um,
And, he's talking about fighting Paul's brother, Logan, or at
yeah,
least he brought up the fact that he'd like to fight Logan Paul. So I guess he wants another $20 million. That'll
well,
be
he
a
ain't gonna
$20
get that.
million, you know, payday for him with the two
So
brothers. They're twins, right?
you fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you, man.
Yes, yes,
Nobody ain't
yes.
going to pay for that anymore. That was a circus, man. It was really a circus, and thinking that we was gonna see something of old. Boat has sailed down the river, man. I don't think Mike need to be doing anything of this sort anymore, man. Not for play or nothing else, man. That dude,
Exactly.
you know, I
Mike
mean, I,
needs to just take the money and go on and enjoy the rest of his natural existing life
yes,
because he looked old and gray
yes, he
last
did.
night, man. He looked
Yeah.
old and gray,
Mhm.
and it's just his legs didn't even look like his
No, no.
legs of the past. Like he had the bigger quads, and you could see the
Yeah.
power coming from his lower body when he threw punches. And during the highlights, I didn't see anything. And having that knee brace on one of his legs, which you said I think was the right leg, it's just,
No, no.
man, Mike look, Mike had an illustrious career. I'm
Yeah.
going to give that to him. He's one of the best heavyweight champions ever to
Right.
fight. And I'm
Yeah.
going to give him that. But there comes a time where Father Time catches up with you, man, and you can
Right.
only do so much. That goes for football, that goes for basketball, that goes for any major sport that you're competing in. That Father Time is going to catch up with you. And boxing is more dangerous because you're getting hit. And a 27-year-old man unloading on you, like Paul could technically unload it on him last night and finished him off.
Yeah.
Jake Paul looked like a heavyweight boxer now. I mean, when he first started boxing, he's a tall guy, but he didn't have the weight because he was technically a cruiserweight fighter. Now he looks like a bona fide, heavyweight fighter, and his intentions is to fight for a belt at some
Yeah.
point. And I don't know whether he has the skills enough to do that, but I would never say never that he couldn't do it. What's your take on that?
If you would have added the ages of both of those, Mike would have got rid of him in seconds. Because
Well, back in Mike's,
right,
younger heyday,
that's right.
sure.
When Mike was
Yeah.
27, you fought 27-year-old Mike with 27-year-old Paul, it wouldn't have been a contest at all. Mike would have just unleashed on him like a pit bull, man, and see that because Mike wisdom stopped him from getting knocked out because he knew how to cover up on certain instances and he knew how to defend himself. And that was the only reason why he wasn't knocked out. And I think Jake didn't want to hurt him because he admired him too as a kid. And then he knew that it probably would have been a backlash on him for a 27-year-old guy to go in there and brutally beat a 50-year-old man who just looked like somebody great granddaddy that had on some doggone Pampers in there in the ring, can't even hold his water. I just don't like the look of that. First of all, when they came out of the locker room, Mike almost tripped because of the surface of the runway. Apparently wasn't smooth and he tripped over it. And from then on, he actually came down the wrong way the rest of the way on a limp. He was limping. So it might have affected that leg that he had wrapped, but in all cases, still, he shouldn't be doing it anymore, man. It just make him look bad. I mean, watching his sparring and his practices and the running and the training, it kind of make you want to rekindle some of that old glory days. But this is the days of the past for him, man. All we got is old clippings and tapes and to watch him if we really want to admire his legacy and stuff like that. But this right here is a diminished part of a man who just had a great career, beautiful life, no matter all the negatives, he still had a beautiful life. But not to see him in there getting beat down by a 27-year-old guy who just trying to come up on something, because that guy really could have hurt Mike if he wanted to. That's the way I feel about it. I could see the strength in him, the movement of him, and it wasn't a contest at all, man. I mean, I had some wishful thinking last night that he would do what he was doing in the gym, but it's just like when you're practicing football, you can go all out on your scrimmages in the football with your teammates, but when you hit that field, when you got another opponent, it's not the same stuff. It's a whole different ball game, and that's what it was last night. It was a different ball game. I mean, even between rounds, they only fought 8 rounds in 2-minute
2-minute
rounds.
rounds, correct?
And then, man, those 2 minutes, if they would have been 3 minutes, Mike would have been gassed for air, man. He couldn't
Oh,
even catch his
he would have
breath.
been put down. Actually, Jake
Man,
Paul probably wouldn't even had to hit him that hard. If he would have had to go
he was
3-minute
all he had to
rounds
do
and
was
go
just
eight
hit him
3-minute
a
rounds,
couple of times
my
per
goodness.
round, because Mike was,
Yeah.
I mean, from the 3rd round up, he was just hanging on for dear life, trying to catch his breath, man. I mean, it just didn't look good at all, and I didn't like to see it like that. I didn't like to see him, like, even when the bell rang and he had to walk back to his corner, man, you
Hmm.
almost had to push your walk out there for this guy to get back over there. I mean, I don't want to see that no more, man. If he even get another fight, I think I'm gonna just opt out of that one, not to watch it, because I just respect him as a fighter and a guy who was a good, you know, it was a good thing for him to box and bring that movement to heavyweight boxing back then when it was on a decline, and to see him in there now, I don't like it, man. I don't.
Okay, so here's the issue that I take with the whole thing. It was a lot of fanfare, and Mike was motivated because Mike had this gut feeling. I guess he felt like he can bring back some of the glory from
Yeah.
his early years when he was in his 20s, of course, like you stated earlier. And Jake Paul wasn't gonna, I mean, if you look at this, didn't tarnish Mike's legacy at all, I don't think, especially from the professional level. This was just one of those off uh, situations where Mike just decided to go back into the ring to fight a younger man. This doesn't tarnish his boxing legacy, in my opinion, period. You know, but to see the promoters who put this together, and it was all driven, motivated by greed and profit, because that's what they do. I mean, you get people to put together, events like this because it's typically to earn tons and tons of money, and that's at the expense of the two opponents that are competing against each other. That could be any sport, but boxing mainly because, you got two grown men pitted against each other, and one's 58 and the other one's 27. That shouldn't even been considered, in my opinion, because I'm 58. Mike was born the same year I was born. So you think I would go in that ring against Jake Paul? Well, you know what? Maybe I would. Maybe I would get in that ring for $20 million. I'll take that back. I'll get in that ring, $20 million, and get hit, and I will go down because I wouldn't want to take those shots to my head, man. It
Wow.
just doesn't make any sense. So my next
Wow.
question to you is this. They said Netflix was having some issues last night, with the feed to be able to get the fight completely through to 72,000 plus people who, bought the subscription to be able to see the fight. I'm glad I didn't. So tell me about, those issues.
I don't think it was 72,000 people. It was 72,000 people at the fight itself. I think it
Okay.
was
So it
millions of
was millions of
people.
people watching
Yeah.
it on Netflix, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah. It was millions of people watching it on Netflix. But the thing was, I don't think they were prepared for that upload of people who was going to watch this fight at all. They wasn't prepared for that. Man, I had it on my phone and my TV, and it was buffering, and you got to cut it on, cut it off, have something come across the screen saying the internet is not fast enough, and my internet is a jet, man. It's fast, and then it'll come back on and it start buffering, and I cut the TV off and all that stuff, and then it said that I got too many things hooked up to my internet and every excuse in the
Yes.
world. But man, then it finally came on. But I think they're going to get some severe backlash from this when you have a program of this magnitude and people are gathering and congregating to see something that they really want to enjoy on a beautiful Friday night. And then, of course, you have these issues with the network. It's going to be some backlash. And I'm going to tell you right now, some of these people might, take their subscription away because of it, because this was a thing where you count on not seeing what you just paid for. Luckily,
All
man.
right.
So
Very
people
true.
always complain about every little dime they got coming in and how it's going out, and the price of eggs is expensive. And then you order a fight just to enjoy a Friday night and it don't work for you. Come on. They'll find out Monday morning when those executives get in their offices. They're gonna be getting some emails and some phone calls and some text messaging. They're gonna get it. They're gonna feel it, man. They're gonna definitely feel it. Now I'm gonna tell you one thing though. You know that guy called Jerry Jones?
Well, you're beating me to it. I was just getting ready to say one cat that came out like a fat cat was Jerry. Jerry
Jerry
filled up
ain't getting it done,
AT&T
man.
Stadium, and man, oh man, oh man,
Right.
Jerry was all smiles, to have that fight in his facility. for
He
sure.
had the playmaker there with him last night with all that black rent painting his head, man, and that was pretty funny.
Playmaker
That took a
old and gray too. I mean, he
yeah, but
old
you
and
can't tell
gray, and
because his
all of
hair
us
is
are
no,
old and gray now, you
no,
know?
but you can't tell he's old and gray, man. You know how that man hair look like tar. Playmaker, you go out here and talk from that crap. You can't pinpoint. You gotta ask him for his birth certificate, man.
Man, you ain't
Man
right.
got a
You wrong,
gray
man. You
hair
ain't
in
right
his
to talk
head.
about Playmaker like that.
I like
Playmaker is one of
playmaker,
my
man.
that's my guy, man. Come
Yeah,
on
mine
now.
too. But you ain't gonna find no string of gray in his head. You can forget believe that. Yeah. So yeah, man, I can imagine what's gonna happen on Monday morning when these executives get to their offices. But other than that, Mike need to just relax and enjoy his money. And he's got some other businesses on the side that's bringing him in, substantial amount of money. He can just live his life. And from what I understand, his wife was so yeah, she didn't want him to do it. She didn't think he'll be able to pull it off. But one thing I can say, I think he pulled it off, man. You
I did
think of
too.
a
I think
58-year-old guy.
to survive 8
Yeah,
rounds
yeah,
and Jake Paul wasn't really giving him everything he had because, as you said, Jake Paul would have gave him everything he had. He probably would have been down no
yeah.
later than second round, I would think, you know. So hats off to Jake Paul. Hats off to Mike
Could've
Tyson,
bought
one of the greatest fighters ever to fight in a pair of trunks. Mike is going to go down in history as one of the best fighters ever. And we discussed last night some of the variables surrounding his career and his record and how it was impacted. But let's just say he needs to take it easy and enjoy the rest of his life. Again, Mike has really accomplished everything he set out to accomplish, and he don't
Yeah,
need to get in the ring against Logan Paul because Logan
no,
Paul will probably do the same to him or worse.
nah, nah, that ain't gonna happen, man. That won't be the same draw. It'll be a clown show from the moment it's set on pen and paper. Nobody won't see that. One thing about Jake has already been out there for a moment and people know who he is on YouTube. And then, of course, Michael has a legacy of boxing for 30, 40 years. And that's the difference, man. Logan don't have any, experience at boxing. And, of course, who we going to train with Mike? And Mike is already over the hill. Man, that won't be a draw. Nobody won't see that. And then they're going to
That's true.
remember what happened on Netflix. So that's going to be a failure from the beginning. So that's
Yep,
not going to happen at all.
absolutely. So we will wrap this show up today on a Saturday. I hope everybody is having a wonderful weekend so far. We appreciate your patronage to come visit us here to watch our topics and our show. And I'm going to go ahead and have Isaiah close this thing out. Close it out, baby boy. Come
All
on,
right.
close it out.
Well, listen, guys, we're going to cover the NFL and college football. We're going to be ready for you guys on Monday or either Sunday night to do another one. So you guys tune in. I want you to subscribe. Tell all your friends, tell your colleagues, cousins, your relatives, everybody. Let them know what's going on with us, man, because we're up and up and we're doing it right. And I think you guys are going to love the stuff that we provide for you. So enjoy your weekend.
Absolutely. Well said. You, the viewer, please have a wonderful weekend. Be safe. Take care of people around you, and we'll do it again very soon. See you later.
You've reached the end of another episode of the DC Stewart Sports Talk podcast. Be sure to connect with us at Facebook and Twitter.com. Your voice is important, so head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. Catch our next episode.